Alright guys, Rich here from the RCNetwork.com, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. Not sure how long this video is going to run, but basically I'm going to do kind of like a time-lapse-ish type of video where I'm going to be installing a couple of HOBBYWING products here into my Team Associated RC8B3e. Now I've completely went through and cleaned up my B3e to get it ready for some new electronics, and I just recently unboxed the 4268 censored 1/8 scale motor from HOBBYWING. That is the 1900 kV, and also the XR8 Plus. This is their 150 amp 1/8 scale speed control. So should be a pretty good combo for this unit. And in this video, I'll be kind of going over like install, how about I go about doing things. I'll be doing some soldering and just generally just running a video. I have a couple of GoPros going here too, so we'll see how this all works out and see if I can edit it a bunch of this footage. So, well, let's get going. So as far as spacing the motor, I mean, I always like to have that click sound. So I'm going to go ahead and find the actual motor bolts, which I believe are these guys. Love the large size of 8 scale hardware. I mean, it's just so much easier to work on than 10 scale stuff. And like I said, this motor mount is just a pleasure to work with. Just to give you guys an idea here, I mean, this is, if I can get this screw out again, let me show you this drivetrain on this RC8. I mean, take a look at this thing. I'm fully away from there, so, I mean, this thing is fully spinning. I mean, check that out. I mean, everything is moving, and there's no binding on this drivetrain at all. I mean, it's just a beautiful piece of machinery. All right, let's back that off a little bit. There we go. We're back at it. Not sure how long this video is going to run. We may have to do parts. We'll see how the editing goes as far as speeding up sections. It's going to be kind of boring rewatching this during the editing, but yeah, that's my job, I guess. Perfect gear mesh there. You're hearing that little click. Sounds like a good gear mesh. There we go. I always like to give it a spin around and do a little cinch tight. I mean, some motor mounts, if you cinch it too tight at first, it'll bind down on you. This motor mount is great. So there we got the motor all installed. Obviously, we still have to solder, do some wiring, but that's that first portion there. Now the hard part, we have this guy right here. This thing is nice. I mean, it's huge though. It's a massive ESC. I don't know if I don't have an RX8 right now to show you guys in comparison, but I mean, it is just a large speed control. I mean, like right here is a Team Orion R10.1 Pro. I mean, you can see the size difference in this thing. Ginormous. But let's get this thing cranking in here. This is going to be sitting on the side over here, and I always like to kind of plan out my motor wires, you know, which way they're going to be traveling, you know. So this may go this way. I may end up this way. I'm not sure yet, so we'll have to plan that out. But one thing with this this mount here is you have to route the receiver wire underneath, so that's why this thing's completely pulled out, so I can get to that and be able to route it through here. So let's go ahead and start fishing this thing through. So I just use this 3M tape right here. I mean, I pick it up at like local hardware stores. It's fairly inexpensive, and it is kind of thin. I'm going to be running this on an indoor clay track, so don't really have to worry about, you know, having that really thick cushioning stuff. But Kyosho has their Zeal tape if you want to use that stuff, and that definitely protects ESCs pretty well. Flight controls too is what I hear. So now we're going to do 2 strips of this stuff. I want this thing stuck down to where it's not going to come off. There we go. Perfect. I think we have a winner here. So now I'm going to try and get this thing mounted into the vehicle now and see where it takes us from here. I really like MIP drivers. I mean, I think I've had this set now for 3 years. Just great drivers. I typically don't use power drivers unless I'm uninstalling or disassembling something. That's the only time I like to use those. You can't beat hand tightening something, especially into plastic. So. There we go. Got some stuff all there. Look at that. Looking sharp. Cool. Alright, so now I want to go ahead and just wrap up the rest of the receiver right here. Get everything plugged in and kind of go from there. So let's go ahead and I think I have it routed underneath the center diff. There's like a little guide down there. Alright, so I think I got everything reinstalled that I uninstalled to get the electronics out originally, and now it's time to get soldering and get everything all wired up inside of this thing. God, that looks good, huh? Really like the black and silver. I mean, it just gives it a really clean look, and it makes it look like it matches. I think before I had a Reedy motor and an RX8 Gen 2 in there, the white one, so didn't quite look right, and this is a nice touch. Not sure what I'm going to do with this yet. This may end up going way over here, maybe. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to let that simmer for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the soldering iron. I'm using a Track Power TK955, so really like this thing. I've had it for a good year, maybe 2 years now. It's a great soldering iron. I mean, this is the soldering wire I use, rosin core. It's really super thin, which I like, so works out pretty good. Then I picked up this Hacko, I think it's called, 599B. Looks like a little R2D2 but gold. So just to clean the tip off. I don't use that little foam thing. It doesn't work too well. Click this thing on, let's fire this thing up and get soldering here. So I think we're going to use just basically this wire. We're going to do black wires off the ESC to the motor, and then we'll do one wire from this over to the battery terminal. So that doesn't have to be too long. And even these can be pretty short. And then as far as pretending, I just use these things. Hold that thing up just like that. We already got full ready to go here on my soldering iron. Get a fresh little clean tip. And let's get soldering. Alright, so now that we got those pre-tinned here, and that's basically all it looks like. I mean, nothing major. Just some good solder onto the tip there. Now we're able to go ahead and solder onto the post, and hopefully I'll get the wing out of the way. Can you guys see that down there? There you go. Perfect. We're good. So we're going to go ahead and drop some solder onto the posts for the ESC. We can probably do the battery too. Because my hand's probably blocking everything. Alright, so I went ahead and got a few tires. So I have some 8-scale tires here to hold the arms from moving, and then I have a huge monster truck tire back here to kind of prop it up on an angle so that these things are level. Now you're able to solder and pre-tin those posts on there, so everything's ready to go. So clean up the tip here as I get ready to solder in here. There we go. And we're just going to go ahead and pre-tin each one of these posts here on the motor. Have everything pre-tinned and ready to solder some wires on. We can get rid of the monster truck tire now and the 8 scales, but we may need that later on when we attach the actual wires to the motor. So you can just get rid of some of the little bits and pieces of rosin that you may have laying around from soldering and stuff, just, you know, getting everywhere. And we can go ahead and take our pre-tinned pieces here and go ahead and get our solder on. So this is easy. Pretty much heat this stuff up. Love these big posts here. Lay this on there. Alright, so we got all of the posts on, nice and bubbly looking ones, A, B, and C. Now it's time to go ahead and get the battery ones on. Let's go ahead and pre-tin those things. We'll go ahead and use these nice ones here. I'll probably end up putting on a Dean's connector. It's typically what I use for 8 scale at least. Go ahead and clip off the ends. Alright, so trying to do the battery post now. Plus and minus, always nice to remember that. And this one has some red down here, black down here, which is nice. So we're going to go ahead and solder on the black one first, so we get the right spacing for that, the red one. So I'm going to go ahead and heat up this solder right here. And go ahead and drop in. Got a nice bond there now. All right, now for the fun part, planning this stuff out. So on the motor side, let's go back over to that side. Let the battery terminals cool off there a little bit. So on this side, I think we're going to come in from the rear, but we do have a mix, which I hate that. So which we may come in from the front. See, if we come in from the front, we can have a nice blend here of wires. So they stay in order, A, B, and C, and they'll kind of look like this. As my hand is in the way there, so they'll kind of look like that. Where if we come in from the back side, C is over here, and then we kind of have to cross over and make A there, or B there, and then the A goes right there. So don't really like the look of that. It looks kind of sloppy, so we'll come in from the other side, and we'll start with the C first. Get a nice arc on there because we have to make way for the rest of the wires. Alright, so now that I have the motor tilted up and these are level now I can go in and start making my soldering points. I guess I will go ahead and use the needle nose to hold the wire. I mean, it's so dangerous. I mean, so definitely take care if you are doing this, because I mean, it will burn the hell out of your skin, I'll tell you that. So we're going to go ahead and hold this up here, get some solder on. There we go, we got a good bond. And we have all the motor wires done. I think they look pretty good. Not too bad. Couldn't bring it on up here. Look at that. Yeah, they're a little crimpy. That's okay. So, should provide some good good horsepower there on the new HOBBYWING Z-Run 1900 kV. The 4268. Looks pretty good. Alright, now onto the connector. Alright, so now we have to solder on a Dean's connector. So, you know, I've been kind of steering away from these lately, mostly because I've heard bad things about them. I mean, I've been using some XT150 connectors lately. They're massive, and I just hate to have to go through and not only learn how to solder a new connector, but you know, then go and buy all new connectors, not only for the rigs, but also for the batteries. And I have several 4S's that I use, and they all have Deans. So it's kind of why I'm sticking with Deans, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. So I'm going to go ahead and clip off the top of this battery. Now, this is the length that I need. So as far as the red one, we're going to clip that one off a little bit shorter, because that way we'll have this thing arc towards the battery. So if that makes any sense. Let's go ahead and pre-tin these things. These were a bit of a bear last time, so let's see if we can't pre-tin these things a little bit more decently. Alright, now for the Deans. I like to use these things. They're pretty heavy duty, but they really hold on to the Deans plug pretty well, and you know, it gets that good bond. So I usually set it up like this for the negative, and then you can do it the opposite way for the positive side of it. So works out pretty good. At least that's the workaround that I've figured out for myself. And before we go any further, let's go ahead and cut off some of the shrink wrap. This was included in the package. We're going to put that, and that'll cover the Deans connector. Give you some fairly thick stuff too, which is nice. We're going to go ahead and clip off a good, I don't know, inch worth of it. Why not? We have plenty of it. There we go. And we'll go ahead and put this on our wire now so we don't forget later on down the line. Put it all the way down at the end. There we go. Now let's go ahead and pre-tin our Deans connector. I'm going to go ahead and set this up on a tire. Just have it a little bit elevated. We're going to try and get as much solder on this connector as we can, because that's a fairly big wire. Alright, so I always solder on my red terminal first, and that's always the flat one on the Deans. That's just my way of doing it. I am just somewhat religious when it comes to that stuff. You never want to solder on the wrong way. I've done that before and never want to do that again. So let's go ahead and got this thing elevated up onto like a platform here. Oh, that heated up fast. Have to watch yourself. You'll end up burning your hands. So, I'm going to let all this stuff cool off, and I'll be back here, and we'll plug in the last couple of wires. Alright, so we just have a few things to wrap up. We have to go ahead and heat shrink the Deans connector. We need to go ahead and connect the switch somewhere, and then plug in the sensor wire. So let's go ahead and get that going. I just use an aim and flame. I mean, you can use like a heat gun, but just dragging that thing out is kind of a pain. So I'm going to go ahead and use the aim and flame, and just quick little passes is all you need to get that all the way shrunk down. Sometimes I've actually burnt it to where it's turned black. You have to be careful on that, which I think I just did a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So that has a nice bend to it, and that's why I intended. That's why I had to kind of flip it around when I was doing that before. So let's go ahead and do that sensor wire now. So here we have it, and we're going to go ahead and plug this thing in as the switch is hitting around there. So nice little flap right here for the sensor port on the XR8. Has a nice arc to it, so it's going to stay up. I mean, we can go ahead and zip tie that down if we want to. Get one little more push right here. Make sure that's centered. Good. And let me grab a zip tie and we can zip that on down. I like these little 4-inch zip ties. These things are awesome. Use them in so many applications. It's ridiculous. I buy them 800 at a time now. Always buy black too. They just hide everything. Clip off the tail. There we go. Now that thing won't move around and it won't wiggle out. So that's always good. Alright, the switch, and we're done. So as far as the switch, I was able to kind of maneuver it underneath the tray here. So it's the wire's tucked out of the way. Got a tiny little loop on here, so it does have some movement if it needs it. I don't think it will, but I'm going to go ahead and do a trick with this stuff, just the 3M tape again. We're going to kind of sandwich it around like this and around the bottom of it as well. So there we go. my install of my HOBBYWING Z-Run 4268 1900 kV motor and the XR8 Plus. Looks pretty good. Can't wait to fire this thing up and see what it can really do. Well guys, that's it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this long-ish video. Hopefully my editing can prove itself and look pretty good in the end. So, well guys, that's it for now. If you have any comments or questions about this install, please post it on down below. And as always, thumbs up and subscribe. That's it for now guys. Over and out.